So I just wanted to say thank you so much to Kim Gingras. Hopefully I say it right. Bonjour. Mon mari est français. so uh, I have a little bit of French going on, but not too much. But I'm so glad. Are you in Canada right now?
I am. I'm in Montreal. When the pandemic happened, when everything started shutting down, I was still in LA with my boyfriend, working on a few gigs. And then we saw everything get kind of pushed back or canceled. So we're like, okay, you know what? Before the borders fully closed, or we didn't know what to expect. So we're like, let's just drive up. So we have a van with a bed in the back. And so we locked ourselves in the van, had food and everything we needed, and just drove 3 days straight to Montreal.
That is awesome. It's like, I mean, it's the worst scenario, but the best outcome, to just try to make things work, which is what a lot of people have been doing. As far as your background, you've been there, done that, commercials, film, TV, touring, all things in between with Beyonce and J-Lo and, everybody under the sun. And so you have so much knowledge that I'm sure you're just like trying to burst at the seams of trying to, get it out there. So what made you decide I'm going to make an online program and I'm going to make it a mentorship thing and I have time to work with people and help them get to the next place?
Yeah, I feel like throughout the years with me teaching like master classes and workshops here and there and traveling and like I would love the dance part of it. Obviously we have fun. I teach them a combo, but we end up like chatting for forever afterwards. Like I was just like blah, 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 and this and that. And they had so many questions for me. And I felt like the same questions kept coming back with, how do you find an agency? Should I seek representation? How do you hear about auditions? How do you stand out in one? How do you apply for a work visa if you're not an American, you want to come here? And so all these questions kept coming back. And I was like, let me just create a program where we kind of put the dancing aside because I know they can take amazing classes everywhere, but let me create something that focuses on the other tools that we need, all tools and tips and tricks and everything that has helped me, get to where I am today, especially the mindset. I feel like, we don't talk about the self-confidence and the rejection and the everything that we have to deal with, the inconsistency with the job. So decided to create a little something to talk about
A
all that.
little something. Okay, you're so humble. Okay, because I've been on the website and it is glorious, and it is very comprehensive. So you are giving people not only, just a little taste if they wanted to like get their feet wet, but the full, experience of, with limited, entrance, if you will, limited spots for people who are like serious and trying to get real deep into what's holding them back, how to shift their mindset, how to get into this crazy business that we're in, because really it's a crazy time. There are so many things that I've experienced and I know that you have as well. What is one of the things that you're like, I did that and I made it through whatever experience it was because it was the craziest experience of my life as a dancer? What is one of those that you can share with people maybe watching?
I think one of like the toughest but most exciting times was the first tour with Beyonce, the Mrs. Carter show that I did, because on days off we were working on her secret visual album that was coming out named Beyonce, with all the, when it popped at midnight, no one knew. We didn't even know when it was coming. But so as we're touring and we're tired and we're going from one country to the next, on top of that, during our off days, we're rehearsing for another video that we go. And I mean, I remember this one time we were performing in Mexico, to then after the show finishes at like, I don't know, midnight, go to the airport, fly to Texas, shoot one day of the Below music video, to then fly back, do another show, do it again because we had a second day in Texas. Like it just was insane. But they take such good care of us and it's so exciting. So yeah.
There are so many different moving parts of being in the industry. So when you are giving advice, what do you feel like is the one sound piece across the board, whether you're just getting into the industry or you've been here for the longest time and just trying to like maybe revamp your career? What's the one thing that you would say to anybody across the spectrum?
I think you have to be your best friend. And we sometimes often forget that. We create that self-doubt. We start questioning, am I enough? Or as soon as you get a rejection, like, ooh, maybe I don't belong. You have to work on that little inside voice of yours and just cheer yourself on.
Yeah.
you need to believe it. You need to do that inner work so that you are fearless. And even if doors closes, you know, one after the next, you're like, it's fine. I'm meant to do something big, and that door is about to open up at some point. So it's really that trust and that inner work.
Yeah. Well, so when you are looking at the online shift, because you jumped on it, obviously, but what you've created had to take a lot of time because you don't just build that overnight, right? Obviously, your career didn't happen just overnight. You've been steadily, adding to your all the things, all the skills that you have, and then all the gigs that you've done. But also, are you behind the tech? Are you, doing your videos? Are you putting the ads on? Like I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people who would see that and go, wow, did she do that all by herself, or is she, is there like some, is she a tech guru? Like, what do we not know about you?
Right. Well, so timing, funny enough, I have had this in my mind for a while, and I started beginning of March. I was like, finally, I'm going to start writing. And then 2 weeks later, things shut down. I was like, okay, universe, I get it. This is when I'm supposed to do it. So I just, I think I was doing 10 hours a day, and Nikki would, I'm sure she'd connect with me on that because we're both Virgos and we're both like, da, 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 da. But I just like, I taught myself how to do the website and how to connect the Shopify. And I mean, it was a lot of tutorials on YouTube, a lot of podcasts, a lot of like just asking, the help center for anything that I was on. But yeah, I basically did it all myself, figured I had the time to teach myself. And yeah, the help came in with my boyfriend and my friend's mom, who's a teacher, to just kind of review the French and English, making sure I don't, make any mistakes. I have someone kind of proofreading. But
Right.
besides that, yeah, I was on my own.
That to me is so encouraging because a lot of people will say, oh, well, she had somebody do that for her. But for you to be able to say, I asked the help desk means that anybody else can, the statement is fish for themselves, right? Like you want to give somebody, the tools, but you don't want to, have, if you're hand holding so much, then people just don't do things for themselves. And so I'm so happy that you did, because that just tells people, number one, you're talented. Number two, you're smart. Number three, obviously beautiful. And, but that you can figure it out no matter what. There are always resources, number one, that are free for tutorials side of things, for the YouTube, connect my this to that. But then you're so down to earth that you're going to give people, you're going to give it to them straight. Like, that's the one thing that I feel like is missing sometimes in this industry, is that, there's a lot of fakeness and a lot of, what are you doing or what are you working on and all of that. But for you to say, you know what, I'm going to stop this and I'm going to focus on this project since we have time. A lot of people sat during the pandemic and were like,
Right.
but to be able to like get in, I mean, this is something that obviously 10 hours a day and focusing in is really hard. Who would you say is like your inspiration? Who are you looking up to these days? Who would you say to someone like, read this book?
Ooh, well, I gotta say, and I think that I feel like that's one of my tricks to us to where I'm at today is the people that you surround yourself with, right? Just like I feel like my circle of friends is always championing me, pushing for me. They are the example. Rachel Markarian, Leanna Blackburn, like all these women that are just like, I'm like, oh, Brittany Perry Russell, just up to like, amazing big things, always striving for more. And it just encourages me to be like, okay, I want to do that too. Like a healthy competition, not like putting myself down. It's like, oh man, you're pumping me up. I want to do this too. I want to think big. So I have them to really, be thankful for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad that you named dancers because there are so many people who, people look outside of the industry sometimes to say, oh, well, they're doing so much. And it's like, no, you can look right here. They're right in front of you. I mean, Liana, I think she is, I don't know if she's already had her kid. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if she was with child, right? So, but she's still body moving, right?
Yep.
Like, I don't know how she's doing it, but there are so many people and examples of doing it big right now, right in front of you, whether it's you, doing your, the Kim Gingras experience.com. Right, I'm working on it. Or Brittany Perry Russell, I think she has a son and they're doing like big things on TikTok and he's an actor and things like that. But there's so many things that people can reach right now, right in front of them, that are within our own industry and propping people up. Especially, you mentioned, I think, for women, and women empowerment right now is something that I think is really in the media. And it hasn't, I mean, it's always been there, but I think people are really showcasing it on their social media, propping people up, whether it's through a hashtag or a dropping of a name or whatnot. What do you think is the future for, because I know that you do instruction and you travel and you've been on, conventions and things like that. What is the next that you see for online instruction or hybrid instruction, or where do you see it going?
That's a great question. I mean, everybody needs dance. I feel like right away, I don't know if you saw Dua Lipa jumped on it right away. As soon as the pandemic happened, she had dancers in their living room, but performing with her, and they did a little montage. So I think people will, use this to be creative. You have to stay flexible and reinvent yourself. And I think I'm so thankful for technology because of that, because we get to still connect. So hopefully we'll see people, surpass themselves and think, okay, if we're working via Zoom, why not work with someone that's in Russia and someone that's in Australia? Might as well spread the possibilities and the ways to create. So hopefully it just gets bigger and bigger and more global.
Exactly. Well, and you should talk about global because you're in another country right now. I mean, hello, how global can we get? I think that it's really important for people to understand that you don't have to start your career in the United States. And that's something that you obviously can attest to. People like Blake McGrath, who obviously is not an American, but still made it here in America, right? And then went back to Canada, just like you have, to share your gifts with people there, and not just, be with us, over here in LA. Because I think it's really important for people to understand that getting the experience in here and then taking it to wherever you were, brought up, your dance experience, obviously, did you ever talk to the first dance teacher that you ever had?
Yes, yes. And that's what's so beautiful. I think it's that full circle. Like, it's super, obviously I would love students from all over the world, but there is something extra special when I come back home and I'm teaching the young ones here, because I feel like I wanted that, or I had some of that with my mentors. And then even to talk on that subject, it's not even just bringing it back, but it's okay to build your career here first in a different country, where you get to know yourself better. You go through so many experiences, you learn a lot. And then I feel like you're way more prepared when you move to New York or Los Angeles. When I moved to LA, I was 26. So I feel like I was, old and dancing with 17 and 18-year-olds, but I knew myself, I knew what I was about. I had done this before. I knew how to work, being on set and everything. And that really helped me kind of stand out.
The one thing I'm noticing is 4 guitars behind you. So are you, or is that a banjo? One of them, either way, are they yours? Are you musical that way? Like, I'm just crying right now.
That's a good question, but that is my boyfriend, all of my boyfriend. He's a musical director, guitarist, musician. Yeah. So this is his. He's tried. And I mean, I bruise up in 2 seconds. I don't know if you ever tried guitar, but I'm like, this is hard.
Yeah, no, I have a daughter. She has like the littlest, it's like a ukulele and that's all I can do. So, I leave it on the floor just like you do, we just, we do what we do in other areas. Yeah. Well, so anything else that we should know about? Because obviously, I mean, here's the one thing that I'm just looking at as like in awe is, number one, you have the program that you just launched and is going to start September 1st. But two is, I'm doing my research, but two is it's in French and English. So you had to basically create it twice. How hard is that?
Thank you for noticing and asking. It's very nice of you. Yeah, because it was a lot of work. I'm French first, but throughout the years and, me living almost 10 years in the States, I think in English now. Okay. So that's why, when I mentioned like my boyfriend and my friend's mom, like they'll come in and I'm like, wait, that's not the right word in French. Like the specific, they're just, it's different, So they've been, a great help. But yeah, it's been a lot of work. But again, it was important for me to, it's almost like paying my respect for the people where I come from and the people here that would like to just have it in French only, that don't speak English yet, or, you know, so that was important for me. But that's why it took so long. It was really like 5 months straight of just me creating everything and then translating everything again. And yeah.
Well, I just want people to know that this is hard in one language, but to then also break into the second is like remarkable status. And I am just giving it to you because I don't know if anybody ever will, but I want you to have the credit where credit is due. So what is next beyond your experience that is going to be launching like literally in a week? What, I mean, because obviously you will come back to the States at some point because dance is your thing. But what's something that you want to do, like that you haven't done that's like on your bucket list?
Well, work-wise, career-wise, I definitely have this pull to public speaking, and I've done it here and there, but I'd love to push that even further. So I think that's something that I want to put some energy into.
Mhm.
And then not career-wise, I just love road trips, and sometimes for a week or two, but I'd love to like take a month or two off maybe. It would be nice to do a nice long road trip.
Well, document it because we want to see all your fabulous. And I'm sure if you are okay with you and your boyfriend documenting, then we'll see you like on the next Netflix documentary series. I'm sure he'll be like,
How
uh,
about you, Sandra?
"Oh gosh, I have a 9-month-old and a 3-year-old that she just turned 3, so I am yeah, I am in it. So I just know that there are so many people that will benefit from your expertise, um, your your ability to connect. Because I've never talked to you one time, but on email, and you are lovely, genuine, and authentic, and that is something you can't be taught. So I hope that people gravitate. Number one, they gravitate toward your talent, but number two, gravitate toward insight because you have a good spirit, and I think that that shines through, and your course will soar in French and English and multiple languages beyond. Because if you did it for those two, I can see it, you know. Because my husband, he says, Spanish is very close to French, and so I mean, in essence, I mean, you've already been to Mexico twice doing what you were talking about, so I'm sure that that could be the next, iteration. But I think that while you're road tripping, feel free to drop me a text and tell me what you're doing because I definitely will promote it. And I hope that you have a really fabulous day.
I feel the same about you. I'm so glad we got to connect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, hopefully the internet will bring us together again, if not in person, and stay safe and healthy, okay?
You too.
Okay, bye.
Much love. Bye.